Good afternoon and welcome to the Mavs Edge Employer Internship Panel. I'm David Powers, Assistant Director of Internships at UTA's Career Development Center. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're excited to have you with us. We're also excited about the group of employers that we have with us today, and know that you're going to gain a lot from our conversation. Students, you can begin sending questions at any time by using the Ask a Question button. We'll also be providing important contact information and links in the comments section. So keep an eye on the comments as well. We'll address your questions near the end of the event. Our employers are going to have an opportunity to provide an overview of their program, introduce themselves. I'm going to obviously ask them some questions. And then as I said, we'll get to some of those student questions toward the end. Connecting and networking is one of the most important parts of an event like this. And sometimes, as we were talking about before we got started, it's difficult to do that virtually. So please feel free. All of our partners have agreed to provide their LinkedIn information. Please feel free to take note of the comments section and those links, upcoming events, and panelist contact information. And don't hesitate to reach out, because connecting and recruiting is what these events are all about. We'll also be recording this event, so you can look for it on LinkedIn later on, if you're not with us today, or in our weekly student communication in our newsletter next week. So enough of the intro. We're excited to meet the panelists, so we'll get started there. Marjorie, would you please get us started with an intro?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, David. Well, it's great to be here. Good afternoon, y'all. My name is Marjorie Miller, and I'm a Senior University Talent Advisor at GM Financial. And prior to my role here at GMF, I worked in higher ed on college campuses and student affairs. And so being able to connect with students like y'all is just one of the highlights of my roles. So I'm excited to be representing GM Financial today. For those who we haven't had a chance to connect with yet, GM Financial is the captive finance company of General Motors. And so we provide finance solutions for both individual consumers and dealers. You can see just some facts here about the markets that we're in and what GM Financial looks like. But what's really exciting is that we're a global company, but our headquarters are right here in DFW. We are based in downtown Fort Worth, Texas, but we also have offices in Las Colinas as well as Arlington. So it's very likely that some of y'all have driven past our Arlington offices, or might even have a friend, family member, neighbor who is part of the GMF family there in Arlington with us. GM Financial is a very large and diverse company. And so something that I really love about working at GMF is that I'm working alongside almost 9,000 others as we are seeking to promote the mobility for our customers. And so again, you can see some facts here about our diversity and inclusion statistics, as well as our community investment, which are both really core values for us as a company. So as y'all are looking for internship homes, we know that that's important, that you're finding a place and a culture where you'll feel at home and yourself. So we hope that that's something that folks are able to find with us at GMF. And our summer internship program is the heart of our intern program at GM Financial. You'll see a bit of information about it here, but it runs for 10 weeks over the summer. Most of those positions are hybrid, based in the DFW area. We also have some positions that are based in Detroit. But it's a 10-week program where we really provide a holistic experience for our interns. So not only are you getting that really great on-the-job experience and working with your peers and your supervisors, but we're also providing a lot of developmental topics to make sure that when you go into the workforce upon graduation, we hope that's with GMF, but wherever you may land, you're going in prepared with those networking and soft skills, as well as the hard skills that you're learning on the job. So we are still hiring for several intern roles. I'll post a link in the chat if you want to create a profile and look at where we're hiring in terms of some of our summer interns for IT, as well as some other areas. We'd love to have you join us. But thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about internships today.
You're welcome. Thank you. And Robin, if you would follow up, please.
Sure, thank you. So my name is Robin Pathak. I work at Parkland Hospital and healthcare system here at Dallas. So my previous role was an operational improvement consultant. So I moved from operational side more towards the HR side of the hospital. So our department is called Workforce Development. We manage a lot of, it's like building a pipeline for the healthcare system, whether it's nurses, doctors, PCAs, other non-clinical clinical sides of the hospital. So that's the department we manage a lot. We have about 10 people in our team who are program managers and who does different roles. I'm mainly involved with internship programs at Parkland Hospital. So we have multiple internship programs, such as summer internship programs that runs from June, second week of June to almost like the first week of August. It's an 8 weeks long program. And we also have a multi-semester internship program that's almost like 2 semesters where the master's student or grad student will be able to apply. And the end goal is to turn them into full-time employees after completing their internships at Parkland. We also have an administrative residency program as well in the hospital. So that comes out once a year. That mainly works with hospital leadership. We have other non-clinical programs, such as, I would say, we call it as a leap, to have those PCAs, to build those PCAs in the hospital. So those are hired almost like every other month in the hospital. We're also trying to build a pipeline for other different programs. Also, we also have student placement program where if any student wants to receive college credits, would be able to come as a student placement and work in the hospital, deciding amount of time, how much they need and how much college credits they need. We have contract with 60 different universities throughout United States. So to build that relationship, we have to have that contract. I know we already have a contract with UTA. So that's
Thank you, Robin. And Susan, if you'd like to follow, and you're welcome if you want, along with your introduction, to go ahead and provide an overview of your program, please.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon with all of you. I'm Susan Mason. I am the Assistant Director of Talent and Innovation Programs at the University of Texas System. So note to all, make sure you get your company names right when you apply. It's System, just one, not multiple. One system, 13 institutions. We are in our 4th year of the internship. We launched in 2020 with COVID, and it is a 10-week paid program as well. I anticipate, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. We anticipate hiring about 32 interns this summer, and they will be across functional areas. So we hire both undergrad and graduate students and all kinds of things. So a little bit about us. We are in our 4th year. We were 81 and growing. So we're a smaller program as far as internships, which has its pros and cons, and we can talk about those if you'd like. But the overall feedback from our previous participants has been really strong. So one of the things about being a small program is you get to know the team and the staff really well. And you get to meet a lot of people across the organization. UT system administration is only about 500 people. So we're a smaller organization that is a part of, and the mothership, as we sometimes refer to it, of the institutions that are 250,000 people strong. So the components that I think are probably the most important for you to know about, 10 weeks paid. It's also project-based work. So we run very lean. There's no extra. We're going to give it to you so that you have something to do. Anything you're doing, we're going to use it if we can. And you will own a project from beginning to end so that you can talk about in your next job interview, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What went well? What did you love? What did you hate? What went wrong? How did you fix it? You'll be able to tell a complete story about that. We have a professional development program that meets once a week. You're paired with a mentor who is outside of your department so that you can get more exposure to the rest of our staff. And one of the things we hear from our career services partners is that often you're so busy that you don't have much time to actually think about all the learning that's going on. So we try to build in reflection time during some of that professional development. And we do have everyone start and end at the same time. so that you're building a cohort of peers, both for the summer and as young professionals as you move out into the work world and the rest of your career. So just a couple of things about the professional development program. You can see all the components that go with that. Just want to highlight that of our 32 interns, some will be 100% remote, some will be 100% in person, and some will be hybrid, which is what the majority of our professional staff are. And we do have opportunities not only in Austin this year, but also in Houston, Midland, Dallas, and Odessa. So do check that out if you're going to be in other locations, because we do have satellite offices in other areas. So you may be able to base somewhere else, but wherever you are, we will bring you to Austin on our dime in August to get together in person with all of the other interns and law clerks in the program for a 2-day summit. So that was the first time we were able to do that, was last year. It was a great time. And we're looking forward to doing it again. The staff really enjoyed hearing about everybody's projects. So that's it for us. I'll drop our link to the internship site, has more information about eligibility requirements and things like that there. But I'll drop that link in the chat for you, and I'm excited to answer other questions that you have. Thanks.
Thank you. Wayne, please. I think you guys may be almost neighbors with Susan down there.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what's going on, everybody? So thrilled to be here. I'll be as brief as possible. I do got a few slides that I'll show you, but really quick, my name is Wayne Epps. I work here at TORC Robotics. If you haven't heard of TORC Robotics, I'll dive into just who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do in just 1 second. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Before I get to talking about TORC, I do like for you all to know who's talking a lot to you today. So really fast, let me do this for us. And perfect. So really quick, my name is Wayne. I work here at TORC Robotics. I am the university relations and the recruiting program manager here. And I've been here about 7 months now. I spent my first 7 years at Dell Technologies, really fresh out of college as my first job. And all the skills and things that I've learned really helped me really succeed at this organization. But really quick, this is me in a nutshell. So huge sports fan. I'm born and raised in Oklahoma. I moved to Austin, Texas for TORC Robotics, which is one of our locations that we do have, which is our software center, right? So really fast. Type 1 diabetic, a huge like Sooner fan. I played a little piece of football in my youth. So Ray Lewis, if you're in the Marvel Star Wars, we can chat offline. But let me talk about TORC Robotics. So if you're not familiar with us, everyone's heard of Mercedes-Benz and Chrysler before. You can put it in the chat to me, talk to me, chat to me. We love all that. So we are a independent a subsidiary of Daimler Truck. So that is a Mercedes-Benz and Chrysler. They have a trucking division, and we are the software that allows for them to drive autonomous. So we can talk later about the different levels of autonomy, but we are looking to scale and perfect level 4 autonomy. And we hire not just software engineers, but there's all different types of roles for our internship for just internships and co-ops. So been in the field of autonomy for a very long time, since 2005. So to that same fact, in 2007, we had participated in the DARPA challenge. If you're not familiar with the DARPA challenge, really short, it's an unmanned vehicle challenge. And this was in 2007. We placed 3rd. So Victor Tango, which is our car right there, drove 36 minutes by itself in 2007, placed 3rd in that competition. The first 2 companies are now owned by Google. TORC Robotics took a different route, and we started picking up a defense contract. So like the AI that we had developed was able to go out to the field and bring water and resources to soldiers, can scope for bombs and those sorts of elements. So it's really cool. But in 2019, we had an acquisition with Daimler Trucks, and we're hyper focused on trucking. So hub to hub model. So there's a driver shortage, about 80,000 right now on the long haul driver. That will increase to about 160,000 by 2030. So biggest commitment is safety. So saving lives with the 40,000 deaths that we experienced throughout the year. And that's an increase of 10.5. So this is the hugest commitment that we do have. But the field of autonomy is absolutely fascinating. I actually have a criminal justice degree, and I learned technology in my prior company. So I still love to be around technology. So like I said, even if you're not a software engineer interested in that field, there's other roles for you too, and you can grow your career here at TORC Robotics. So once again, these are the different types of minings and the military field that we were in. Partnership with Daimler Trucks. I'll show you the truck in action a little bit later. If you want to chat with me offline, I can show you the video, but I can show you this 80,000 pound vehicle moving at 65 miles per hour on its own, maneuvering through lanes, which is really, really fascinating to see. So super thankful for the opportunity to be here, and we'll chat soon about a career opportunity here at TORC Robotics, people.
Thank you. Thank you. And a lot of good links are appearing in the comments section, folks. So please check that out. Contact information is available there. Direct links to the website. You should be able to save those links. All of our panelists, I wanted to mention, all of our panelists are Mavs Edge partners. We're very grateful to them for that partnership. I believe all of our partners currently have positions available in Handshake. I think all of them are still open. So those links, as I said, are in the comments section. Research these organizations, companies in Handshake, and obviously there's going to be an opportunity to apply there also. So I know everyone, I get most interested in asking some questions and learning how, as times kind of change, as things evolved, through the pandemic, and we were in person and we were virtual and we're in person again, and you hear different things about soft skills eroding. And I'm just really curious, and I know students are curious, what they need to do now to be as strong a candidate as possible. I mean, that's always the $1 million question. I mean, what do I need to do to set myself apart? So really interested to hear from the panel as we work through some of the questions. Again, a reminder to the audience, students, you please begin sending questions at any time in the Ask a Question feature, and we will work it in if we don't address it through the conversation. We didn't assign these questions because that would be boring. So I'm just going to throw the questions out, and whomever looks very interested, if I see your eyes kind of pop out or somebody get excited, you're welcome to unmute yourself and respond. I don't think we'll have any trouble. I'll allow for the awkward wait time, for someone to respond, but feel free to weigh in on any and all of these questions, because I know in some cases different professional sectors may have a little different slant or a little different take, on what a student, what the candidate should look like. So first off, did anyone on the panel complete an internship when you were in college? And if you did, what did it mean to you? And if you didn't, do you have a student success story or an impact story about an internship that you could share?
I love this question. May I?
Sure, absolutely.
So for all my liberal arts majors out there, I was an English major, theater minor. I forgot to put in my fun fact, which is that my family makes wacky scripted movies. My brother's a writer, so I've been a vampire, I've been a zombie, I've been the nosy neighbor, I've been a detective, I've been a cafeteria lunch lady. I have a green screen in my garage. So there you go. That is some background. But for my liberal arts majors, any English majors out there, theater minor, I thought I wanted to do PR. So I went to school in Memphis. I got a great internship one semester with the Orpheum Theater. It was the main theater that all the traveling shows come through. I was like, this is awesome. I got to work on one of their biggest events, which was a fundraiser, a silent auction, and this big glamorous gala night. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. People were super nice, work was super boring, and I really, really hated writing press releases. So I say that to say you don't have to love your internship. The best thing about that is that I only had to do it for a semester, and I realized that during that time. So this is your time to try out some things that you think sound great or look good on paper or sound good when somebody else talks about them. And it doesn't have to be exactly right. That's okay. That's not a failure. I mean, do the work, do great work, make good connections. Nobody there hated me at the end or vice versa. It wasn't what I wanted to do. And I was really, really glad that I figured that out then, instead of getting a full-time job after school when all my loans were due and realizing 6 weeks in that I was going to be miserable. So use the opportunity to figure some things out. If you want to try something on for size, this is the time to try and do it. And then if you don't like it, and it's not because something's wrong with the organization or the leadership or anything, you just don't actually like the work, do the best that you can, learn what you can from it. I learned a lot actually about organization and about some of the relationship building and things that they did that I still use in a different way now. So learn when you can and take it to something else and try that on for size. So that's my 2 cents on internships.
Thank you for sharing. And we hear from students all the time, or I always when I'm encouraging students to participate in an internship, because many times, you know, especially with adult students or commuter students, you know, maybe an internship is not part of your academic plan. You know, and you're thinking, is it worth the time? Is it worth, you know, is it worth potentially the cost, you know, to take a course if I want to do it for academic credit, which you don't have to do it for academic credit. But probably the most frequent response I hear from students is it helped me clarify my goals and what I thought I wanted to do. You don't really know what a profession is until you're in it. That's the unfortunate thing about the work world a lot of times. You got to get close to it first. Thank you. Anyone else with an internship story or success story?
Yeah, yeah, this is Robin here. I'll add a little bit to what Susan has already said, though. But I have had chance to intern in 3 different places when I was a student. So I was looking for internship all around the place, and then didn't, you know, if any opportunity comes in, I just used to intern there. So I had chance to intern at Baylor Scott and White, Christus Health, and as well as Parkland. So the job that I'm doing right now is all due to my internship. So I knew the department, I knew the people. As we all know, networking is a big key factor for hiring success. Like almost 80% of people get hired just because of networking these days, especially in healthcare, when you need people who are committed to service and things like that. So always a reference counts, a big deal there. Also, I would say that the internship that I did was more of in different places. In Baylor Scott and White, I was more involved in process improvement. That's where I landed a job in Christus Health. Whereas in Christus Health, I was more involved in health information technology. And Parkland, I was doing HR. I was in HR, so that's why I got an HR job. So it's nice to be dynamic and try to move around and see different spaces, which one you like, and have that experience. Internship is not like you will learn everything throughout the whole hospital, throughout the whole company, but it's something to know what you want to do or not, or have that little bit of skill set and networking with different people.
Thank you, Robin. I was just kind of curious. What do you think was your most important takeaway if you had to boil it down? Having done 3 internships, I mean that's a lot of experience in the search. What was most helpful to you?
I would say get a job. That's the number one thing, because people, you can apply to them. You can say, like, one of my jobs was operational consultant in Louisiana, though, right? So I was out of state. I was out of Dallas area. My wife was here. My family was here. I liked the job, but I was there for over a year, though. But I wanted to move back to Dallas, so I had that connection where I could say, hey, if anything opens up, I'll be available. So always those hiring managers keeps in mind that if anyone reaches out, to build that connection.
Thank you. Love personal stories. Anyone else like to share an internship experience or a success story, student success story?
I think, and I saw some students have some questions in the Q&A, and so I think for me, I was really fortunate that my internship in my undergraduate career as well as my graduate career led to full-time employment opportunities after those internships. And so I think for students who are looking for that, my best advice and what I did was maintain those connections after both of my internships took place over the summer. And so that left a whole academic year before I graduated with my bachelor's degree and then again with my master's degree. And so keep those lines of communication open, be that via LinkedIn, send email updates about what you're doing and how you can maintain that engagement with the company. I think that that can be really, really key if that's something that you're looking for that full-time employment opportunity. And to Susan's point, it doesn't mean that because you do an internship, you have to pursue that if it's not a good fit. But if that is that mutual fit between you're enjoying the work that you're doing and you're performing well, make that known to your supervisor that that's something that you're interested in so that they can be keeping you in mind when those full-time opportunities do arise.
In the light of just some success stories, and I'll be brief, a lot of our that's how we hire for a lot of our entry level roles are going to be from the internship and the co-op program, right? We've had a really great time working with the student. They've gone above and beyond, especially for our co-ops, which is usually multiple terms, right? So, and they'll roll right into those full-time positions once they graduate, right? That's part of the requirement to get it is is, completing the degree. So that's how we build a lot of our entry-level talent is through this program that we do have. I did see one question about full-time opportunities. You'll see full-time roles appear on our website. I actually have one that just posted yesterday. I just put that on Handshake. So shameless plug the Handshake. Go out there, check it out. Outings for FinOps. So if you're master's in computer science, just now graduating, go ahead and check that out. That might seem interesting to you.
Yeah, thank you all for picking up those questions. Please keep the questions coming, and we're getting several varieties of the next question I'm about to ask. But regarding those full-time opportunities, I know our representatives were here today to talk about internships specifically, so they may not be as familiar with all of the opportunities that are available within within the company or institution. But obviously, those full lists of those are available in the links that we posted. Most times, those full-time opportunities are also going to be posted in Handshake, so you should be able to easily visit the websites and see a complete list of everything that they're looking for currently. So please utilize those resources. So the big question, and I guess the million-dollar question: what could or should a student do to make herself stand out among other candidates for an internship? It's always the big one, and I always enjoy hearing the responses to this question. Anyone?
I can hop out there real quick. So I would say do your research. A pro tip, for a lot of the companies, they may have like a LinkedIn, a recruiter license. We can see if you follow the company on LinkedIn, if we're, doing like an active search on students. So make sure you're following the company. If you're applying for the role, read that job description, and definitely take time out to do events like this and learn from different employers, right? It really does mean a lot, and you may not get it that next summer. I mean, but you may get it that following year. So definitely take risk. But I'll stop there. Pass the virtual microphone on.
My kind of advice and tip to stand out would be to utilize the excellent services that you have on campus with your career center or with your faculty advisor, whoever that may be. I can always tell which students, be it through their HireVue On Demand or their resume, have utilized the skills that they have on campus. It's really clear who has that second set of eyes on their resume, who has had that mock interview experience and feels confident in the answers that they're sharing. And so if you're looking to stand out, utilize those services on campus. Your tuition and fees are paying for those quality services. And so take advantage, because those staff members really want to help you. And like I said, we can tell who has utilized those and has put in the time and energy to prepare well for their application and their interview.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add a little bit to that. So exactly what the other panelists just said right now is that resumes is pretty big though. So that's the front face of who you are. Like, people won't know who you are until they don't see your resume. Technically, and from HR side, we look into resumes for about 3 to 5 seconds to know whether the student is as good or not. And we do have a checklist on what we need to look into. Like, it's not like we're just looking into some resumes and saying, hey, this is good or this is bad. So we know how the resume is structured, and there's some things that you really need to take care of your resume. You should always have your name on your resume. You should have your email address correct. Like, no recruiter will reach out to you again and say, hey, if the email bounces back, then they move to a next candidate, because there's so many applications that goes there. I would say have your phone number correctly, like, just check the numbers is correct or not. Have your education, on the paper there. What's your goal? What you want to intend to do? Like, so those are the small things that should really speak out on a resume. And after doing that, then also, on the interview side, we get almost about 200, 300 applications for internships, and we have very limited positions. So we have about we have 32 last year. We're still trying to fix the number this year. It's going to be a little bit bigger than last year though. But the thing is, even with interviews, like with virtual interviews nowadays, it's all virtual. So just make sure that your dog is quiet. Tell your family members that, hey, don't shout at me for another 2 hours or 1 hour. I'm in this interview. Just prepare yourself, and then be comfortable. Ask a lot of questions. Like, we love questions, even in the time of internship. If no one asks any questions, then we feel that, is there something wrong with the intern, or is that person not understanding? Like, everyone is open, to give answers to questions and find places, explore, make colleagues, build that networking. Like, the thing is, our job is mainly just to hire the intern, and then the intern's role is mainly to build and to create their experience themselves. How much would they get out of that internship?
Thank you.
David, can I add something about cover letters? Because
Sure.
Robin, you made me think of this. So if an employer is asking you for a cover letter, you don't know if they're going to read it or not, right? Assume they are.
So mainly with cover letters, that's an additional point. So let's say if you have a personal statement, you have 250 words, you cannot write more than that. But if you have a cover letter, you can write your whole story there. So that's something. And same with LinkedIn, like, you can't put all your experience on a one-page paper, but people could just click on the LinkedIn profile and go and see what's there, right? So it's more of branding yourself. It's nothing bad to have a cover letter, but it's just the additional information if you want to showcase something.
And for me, I ask for cover letters because I need to see that you can write. So I'm asking for it, and I will read it. So if I read a cover letter that is generic, and you could literally send it to Marjorie or Wayne or Robin, you've made no impression on me.
Right.
If you use what Wayne was talking about earlier and show me that you've done your homework about our organization, that you know something about the internship, and that you're addressing specific things that I'm looking for, that is going to stand out for sure. So if you're really interested in the position and you're going to bother to apply, take the time if they're asking the cover letter, because that will stop me in my tracks and go, hey, okay, I can see a few things on the resume. There's some things in somebody else's that are better, but this person actually knows us and is really interested in this role, not just a role. It's like dating. I don't want you to come intern for us because you need a date, any date. I want you to come intern for us because you like us specifically for our awesomeness. And I think my fellow panelists would say the same. So
Yeah.
Take care with those cover letters.
I read some between the lines, Susan. I heard, get off the apps. I'm dating. I don't know. It just hit me. Get off the apps. Just quit swiping, right? Show some an elevated level of interest and attention to detail. An interest and enthusiasm in that role. And I just second that and you can even tailor, in some cases, you can even tailor your resume a bit, right, to the role. And it shows that, again, it shows an elevated level of interest. We've got a great student question here that I want to get to before we talk a little bit about networking, because we've already mentioned how important networking is to the job search. But a student has asked, as someone who is looking for an internship this summer and who doesn't have any professional experience, how can I make myself seem more credible both on the resume and in person when I don't really have any experience to back that up? What kinds of things can students do in lieu of already having had an internship or a professional position? And everyone worries, we've all been in a position where we had service industry, fast food. I did a couple tours at Walmart. Everybody's starts somewhere. And we're concerned about listing that in some cases. But what are your suggestions for those who feel like they lack experience?
I'll chime on that. So with experience in Parkland for internships, you don't need experience. But the thing is, we try to see what project works have you done in school, whether you had leadership role or not, how what was the specific role that you did among the group work that you have done, what community service have you done so far. We also, let's say one person helped, her dad fix a fence. That's also like, one of the collaborative activities, being innovative and trying to fix a fence. Like there's so many things that, that you guys have, that students have done, but they don't recognize that they have done that type of job. It doesn't have to be a specific job, but it could be anything that they've done in their community. They just have to present that really well in a paper, saying that these are the activities that I've done and these are the skills that I've gained from that.
Thank you.
Yes, and I think just to echo what Robin said, all of the experience that you're gathering while at UTA is valuable. So be that through a student organization, a campus job. I'm sure we have some resident assistants or community advisors here on this call. All of the work that you're doing, you're gathering important skills and learning how to work with others. So don't discount those. Be sure to include those on your resume and look for those areas where you have transferable skills. So maybe you're applying for a role that is going to be doing some social media marketing, but you haven't necessarily done that in a professional context, but for your student organization, you manage your Instagram. Highlight that, let us know about that, because just because something isn't a professional job, quote unquote, doesn't mean you aren't gaining those valuable skills and experiences. So be sure to look where you have those transferable skills and share those with us.
And riffing off of something David said, I waited a lot of tables before college, in college, and after college. But when I got my first professional job, business cards and everything, my boss came back a few months later. He actually hired me and one of my classmates and friends at the same time, even though he was only planning to hire one person. It's a very small company. And he came back a few months later and he said, you know, I would hire somebody who waited tables again anytime, because you can multitask, you think on your feet, you have a great memory, and you're very good with customer service. And those were things that were very important. It was a travel industry position. So don't minimize that. I mean, yeah, I was making $2.13 an hour in tips, right? Glamorous work at Fridays. Back in the Flair era, I will add. But they are things that really taught us skills that I still use today. And so it's your job as the applicant to connect that to what you'd be doing for the organization, and somebody's ability to think on their feet, to work with difficult customers. To work with difficult customers translates into difficult teammates, difficult clients, difficult anyone, right? And you picked up those things in some of the jobs you may have had in high school or college, putting yourself through school. So don't minimize that.
Yeah, it's a great point. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from employers and students who've told stories about being hired off the floor as a server because they were so strong in customer service. You know, and what I hear from so many employers is, you know, we need those, for lack of a better word, soft skills, power skills, professional skills, whatever you want to call them, leadership skills, and the ability to deliver customer service. And we can, I've heard so many employers say we can train for a lot of these other things, but, you know, we need to see these behaviors, you know, in students, and you have a lot of opportunities to demonstrate those behaviors, but a lot of times I don't think we think about it. Really quickly, let's jump into networking, because I know that's a question that's kind of popping up in different ways. It's essential to the job search. We all know it. I'm just going to go ahead and say you all are masters at it. You all do this probably all day, every day. So do you have any tips for creating a solid professional network? How should students get started? And how can they leverage platforms like LinkedIn? You know, we hear that LinkedIn is the #1 tool for sourcing candidates these days. That's where employers are going. So any general tips or specific tips on networking?
Yeah, really quick. My advice would be make a connection with a extroverted person, and just piggyback off their relationships. But no, but seriously, as somebody that I was like, because of my stutter, I was really, really shy. So, but I'm an extrovert by nature, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna stutter. Like, I don't know how to have this conversation, you know, really just have this conversation. I put myself in a lot of positions to meet other people. So if you're more introverted or shy, just continue to challenge yourself, join that club or organization, add that connection on LinkedIn, and be purposeful about it. Send them a note about, you know, even like attending this event, and you know, like, that's why, like, I'm adding you, right? A lot of companies are really open to students reaching out to them to, you know, those brief, like, kind of like coffee chats and one-on-ones. one thing that was positive about the pandemic was the fact that we got used to having to work virtually. So having for those quick virtual coffee chats are really, really convenient for people. So like I said, take risks and don't be afraid to add that employer, follow that company, and those sorts of elements. So clubs and organizations are amazing. Talking to your peers and classmates and those sorts of things. That's why it's like you and somebody else doing, like going to a fair or, going to this club and those sorts of things. So networking is huge. And whenever you're able to network and you have that concrete background, like whether it is working on that class project, finishing school, right, you are ready to have those conversations. So you'll build that confidence as life goes forward. So that's my tips and advice.
Yeah, I'd add that if networking is something you're not comfortable with, start with the low-hanging fruit, right? So there are students, for many of you who are in a more advanced level, master's degree students, PhD students, even if you're freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors in your field who may have done internships. Easy. Who's in your student organizations that has had an internship somewhere, or even just learning about what they did, so you get that practice talking with someone that's a little closer to your experience, and then building from there. What do your friends' parents do? Also low-hanging fruit, right? There are opportunities to practice so that you can get more comfortable with having those conversations, and then reach out to people who are a little bit more high stakes, right? So at organizations that you're really super interested in. I don't know what this is like at the other organizations, but I'm a one-woman shop right now on the internship, and we have over 900 applications already for our 32 spots. So I apologize if I'm not accepting your LinkedIn invitations with no message. Even if you send me a message, I may not accept it. So we will send those out to hiring managers. I will definitely be accepting things from our interns once we onboard them, and oftentimes from other folks that we get through part of that process. But don't take that personally. Every organization is also going to do that a little differently, depending on their volume. And as someone who recruits specifically for this one program, that would be very difficult for me to do. Other places may have a larger team and they can do more of that. So I would agree to take that shot, but if somebody doesn't answer you, do not take it personally. You don't really know what's going on and what the organization's process is behind the scenes. Also, sometimes the recruiter's not the best person to be reaching out to. What's the department that you're trying to go work for? Now, I have 900 applications coming in, but I'm going to be sending those out to at least 20 different departments. So if you know what department you're trying to apply for, often we have most of our teams listed on the internet somewhere on our website, and doing a little bit of that research and homework, again, going back to that fundamental. You may be able to find somebody who's in a more entry-level position who would be really happy to talk to somebody and have more of the bandwidth to do that, about what it would be like to come into the organization, what that team is like. So there's some different strategies about who. So if you need the practice, start with the low-hanging fruit. When you're trying to get into an organization that may not be responding through LinkedIn, doesn't mean we don't look also. But what are the other ways in? It's not always just the recruiter who would be someone that you could reach out to.
Yeah, and I want to continue the conversation, let other folks in, because again, I know this is such a big question. But before you start that outreach, just a quick tip: make sure that your brand, if you want to call it a brand, it's an overused word now. Make sure your brand, your platforms are ready for you to do that kind of outreach, right? Make sure that your LinkedIn is in the shape it needs to be in. Make sure that it is up to date. Make sure that your handshake account is up to date. So when you're reaching out to these employers and maybe they do take a look at you, they're going to be impressed by what they see. So you want to make sure that you're ready there. Other tips for networking, using platforms, messaging, developing relationships.
Yeah, I'll just add a little bit to that. I would say, like, if you guys can maybe create an elevator speech, people have, whenever you come with people, if you have a long conversation, you know what to say. But if you have a short time, you have to manage the main points that you want to say to your, to your employer or the person that you know. So if you can, if anyone can maybe have an elevator speech ready, that's pretty quick. Like when we meet our CEOs and other people like the chiefs, it's really hard to, talk with them for about 20, 30, 40 minutes. It's just like 5 to 10 minutes. You have to finish up your thing. So, if anyone wants to create like a more elevator speech, that would be really helpful in networking. I would also say, like, when you know people, don't just go and ask for jobs immediately at the beginning, because that doesn't sound that good. You just want to present yourself. You just want to show your interest towards the company. You want to know what work they do, where you can help them. Try to see if there's any volunteer opportunities. Is there any places, like a lot of us, like we're looking for people, like we're looking for our previous interns who can come and speak about the program. Or there could be someone, like, try to make those connections who already have gone through the program, so that, you can build that relationship with them. And after a couple of meetings, you can say, okay, these are the areas that I'm interested in to work with. I wouldn't pinpoint only one area, because there could not be opening in that area. Just try to make your top 3 picks, or top 4 picks, so that you would know these are the areas that I'm interested in. If there's anything available, I would love to work for you. I have a resume ready, and just send them your resume through LinkedIn, or, so there's some occasions where recruiters or even hiring managers ask for resumes immediately. Like, can you send me your resume? And if you send that resume after 3 days, then, the person will forget everything. So like, we meet so many people, like, it's really hard to remember everyone's name and who they are. But the people who are quick, that's the thing that we know that they're interested in the company, and they want to work for us. So those are the things that I would really keep in mind while doing networking.
Yeah, thank you. We're getting some really good stuff, lots of really good questions in the Q&A. Thank you, panelists, for jumping in and answering some of those. And I am kind of highlighting those that we'd like to get to. One question that's kind of coming up over and over is, what would be your best advice for success in your organization in order to turn an internship into a full-time job? What are some tips that you might be looking for in a full-time staff member, or how they might stay on after the internship, right? It's what everybody would like to have happen.
Sorry, go ahead.
Marjorie?
Oh, sorry about that, Robin. Thank you. I think for me, my advice would be, I think I touched on this a bit before, but is keeping that line of communication open with your supervisor or manager and those on your team. And so once you get to know them and are enjoying the work that you're doing and you're performing well, have that conversation and ask them, what do I need to be doing in order to be considered for a full-time position? Maybe there's some other trainings that would be beneficial for you, or maybe there's some other folks who would be valuable to job shadow them to get to know other people. And so if you can talk to your manager about that, and so that they know and can have an eye out for some of those full-time roles, I think that that's really key. And then I would say, take the time to get to know as many people as you can. I know that most internships are in a short time frame, and you're busy, and some of you might also be taking a class or have a lot of other family obligations going on. But to the extent that you can, put that time for a coffee chat with a coworker, or lunch with someone in a department that you are interested in learning more about on their calendar, because you never know who you're going to meet that has an opening on their team or knows of someone who's going to be hiring. All of those connections are really valuable. So take the time and go the extra mile to get to know as many people as you can.
Thank you. Other tips for success in the internship?
Yeah, I would say, to turn internship into full-time employees is basically that connection that you make and the performance that you do in your department. You have to perform really well above the internship role. Like, there's some cases where some managers were sick for a couple of weeks, and an intern could cover the whole manager level's role. Like, so those are like extensive work that you're able to perform and show. And I know all of our students who go to UTA and other schools are very much talented, and they have so much of knowledge and skill set. And that's the platform where you have to go and show your skill set, that the skill set that you have. One intern revamped the whole, North Poison Center has a database. He revamped the whole database, and that was like awesome. The director wanted to hire the person the next day. Like, there was a situation where, the doctors used to have pagers. Like, they get messaging pretty late. Like, it was it was about 5 minutes or so to get messaging, but the messages should come pretty quickly though. So there was one IT intern who revamped all of that, and the pager messaging used to come pretty quickly. So he's still in contact with the IT director right now once he finishes school. But those are the opportunities that you just have to come and, you know, boom the thing, like, and show what you guys can do, except from the job or the internship that was created for the person. Also, I would say we have professional development Fridays at Parkland, where you can build connection with different leaders that we bring in for 4 hours. We have like a training going on. So those are the areas where you can build connections with people from UT Southwestern, people from other places. They come in and present. There are a lot of people in Parkland as well. We have about almost 12,000 employees there. So, you know, there's so much connections that people can make. Those are the things I would say to turn into full-time employees would be good.
I want to add one thing, know what you're getting into. And I say that as an organization that can't offer automatic full-time positions from our internships. We are not able to predict in August who we will need the following June. And we're a just-in-time employer. And we don't like to surprise anyone with that. We're very upfront about that. We want to set you up for a very successful internship so that you build strong skill sets that hopefully, if you were the most amazing intern ever, we will have a position we can put you into when you're about to graduate, but you're going to have to apply then. We won't know about it. Or that you have great stories and great experience to take somewhere else. We're trying to help set you up for success, right? Other organizations will be able to do that. So know that and go kick a little butt and be amazing and get the offer, right? And then there are some that are going to bring in more interns than they can possibly place, and they do it on purpose so that they have a pool to choose from for their full-time roles. Know which opportunity you're going into and be realistic about that. Even if you were the most amazing intern I've ever had, unless I happen to have a job opening, I won't be able to offer you a full-time job. Even if I really, 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 really want to. Has it happened? Yes. Has it not happened when I wanted it to? Yes. So just know what type of organization, what their actual full-time employment and recruiting system is, because it can really vary, and it's not necessarily about you. It's just about how the organization is structured.
Yeah, no one hates to see great talent. No one likes to see a great talent leave, right? You know, you're going to hope that you have an opportunity to retain folks, but yeah, everyone needs to kind of understand that that's not a guaranteed situation. You work as hard as you can, you make a great impression, and you really hope for the best. You hope that there's opportunities available. There's a lot of fluctuation right now in the market. Anyway, I think that everyone is kind of concerned about. We only have about 8 minutes. Time flies, you know, when you're having fun. This question is really important to ask on the UTA campus. Obviously, because we have a very large and engaged population of international students. I think I've had 3 international students working with me in my office since coming to UTA, not an opportunity I had in any previous positions. And it's been fantastic. I mean, I've learned so much from those students culturally. It's been a real education for me. And as you all know, the job search for international students is more complicated than for domestic students. There are some barriers. We're getting some questions in the chat about, or in the Q&A about sponsorship. We're getting questions about OPT and CPT, you know, and just to kind of provide a response generally, and then I'll open it up to the panel. You know, most all employers can provide an internship opportunity to international students by utilizing CPT. That you can utilize CPT without having to sponsor that student. However, this is where I think some of the confusion comes in. Most employers have an internship program because they're hoping to develop a full-time talent pipeline. So if you're hired as an intern through CPT and the intention is to hire you full-time, then of course that's going to require sponsorship, and that sort of changes things. So when employers aren't willing to accept CPT as part of the internship, usually that's the case. They're trying to turn that into a full-time hiring pipeline, and that is going to require sponsorship. And there's a lot of things that go into it from the employer's perspective. in terms of cost and investment in the student to make that happen. And I'm sure most of our international students are familiar with that process. But just generally speaking, opportunities for international students. If you have experience with international students, any advice for that population specifically? I'm sure most of our audience here today are international students. So I'll just open it up to the panel.
Yeah, really quick. So TORC Robotics does support like the labor visas. So if it's like a H-1B, if it's like an E2 for like a German citizen, E3 I think is Australian, L1 is somebody that's in like TORC Europe or like a Daimler employer, those sorts. So we have a lot of experience, and we have a immigration specialist as well that could partner with you if those situations do come up. So but yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I'll just say it. I worked with international students on the career management side at UT Austin for a long time. And I know this is a really tough spot to be in, especially with what's going on with layoffs in the tech sector and everything like that. One, don't give up. Okay. And two, UT system will hire international students for the internship. Again, know you're going into a situation where we may not have a job to offer you, even if we want to. But we would sponsor if there's that potential. And I've seen a lot of students take it too much to heart, the rejections that are coming from companies that specifically said we don't sponsor. It's not about you as a person or your skill set. So don't let that beat you down. I know that's really hard and that your opportunities are limited. This is one of the spaces where using your network can be the most valuable. So other international students in the same field from UTA, where are they? What are they doing? How are you connected to them? What opportunities may they be seeing through their pipelines? And really leveraging that, because, for the internship and especially for the full-time job, internship slightly less so, you're only seeing some of the jobs, right? You may have seen that whole iceberg analogy, right? Of the jobs that you see, the things that are posted on a job board. And then there are all these other jobs that never get posted because they're getting filled through a network most often. So building that network in the long term is going to be even more essential for you, and not taking it too personally, and not letting it bog you down, and being realistic and putting your time and your effort in the places where you have the most possibilities would be my recommendation for you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts regarding the international student question? We've got about 3 minutes before we wrap things up.
I'll just say something. So we have had international students in the past. We have our own legal department that decides, whether the student will be hired or not. But that doesn't come until you pass the interview phase. There's multiple phases that goes in. You have to have a resume. You have to pass the interview, and then if you are selected as a candidate, then then all of those sponsors things and the legal thing comes in place. So I would encourage everyone to try to apply and show your best performance as far as possible, and then when you get to that stage, then the legal department will maybe make the decision and decide how we can handle the situations.
Thank you. I'm looking at one more question that we have in the chat. We're down to about 2 minutes, so I think we probably need to wrap it up. But again, check the comments section. We just recently invested, the Career Development Center at OIE worked together to onboard a platform called InterStride, which is specifically to assist international students with their job search and questions around those challenges. So if you've not looked into that, you'll probably see some links to that in the comments section as well. I want to take some time again to thank our panelists. I know you guys are really busy. Really appreciate you taking this much time out of your day, especially at the lunch hour. And I want to wish you good luck on the trail, and thank you for providing opportunities to UTA students. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. But before we wrap up and leave, I'd like to kind of go around the horn and ask if anybody has anything they'd like to add before we close.
I just say, thank y'all so much. GM Financial is hiring for interns and full-time roles and in a wide variety of areas, not just finance. So would love to connect with y'all, and we look forward to seeing y'all at the career fair next week.
Perfect. Yeah, no, same. Thanks so much for just having us here. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I know David dropped the links in chat earlier. I dropped the link for our talent community just for this event. So takes a few seconds to fill that out. If you could please, that'll be absolutely amazing. Like I said, for the bulk of what we do hire, it's going to be software engineers. There are a few other roles for program project management. We hire for marketing and comms side, but the field of autonomy is truly fascinating. I think that 80,000-pound truck above that 18-wheeler does drive itself. So if you're interested in technology, not even if you're working on a STEM major, it's a really great space to be in, coming from a criminal justice degree, bachelor's degree. So it's really cool. So connect with me. But yeah, thanks.
And I'll just add thanks as well. And check us out. We're hiring everything from video and digital marketing interns to finance to developers. So have a look. And as you go through this process, I just want to add my encouragement. Job search and internship search, it's like another full-time class. It's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of heart. Be your authentic selves, and don't let the process bog you down. Success is coming. Just give it your best and keep moving forward. And when you need some help, go see your folks at the UTA Career Center.
Yeah, I'll just like to say thank you to David for giving the opportunity, to talk with the students. So this is great. I would like to say, I know I manage most of the internship and education programs at Parkland, but if there's any other questions that's related with health science, you're interested in other type of jobs to be a physician, or go through the medical system, or you want to be a nurse, or you want to work as a nurse, please reach out to me. I know a lot of contacts within Parkland so that I can connect you with right people. Thank you.
Thank you all. Excellent stuff. Really good stuff. Appreciate you sharing. I hope you have a great afternoon and good luck this semester. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, David. Bye, y'all.
Appreciate the opportunity.